Hello there, space fans. Welcome to episode 13 of the podcast truly named How Uncivilized. A wacky audio adventure where a couple of crazy kids crack open a cornucopia of Star Wars trivia. This week, we start our three-part special on what the internet is claiming is a JJ Abrams story treatment for Star Wars Episode VIII. So hold on as we inadvertently start legal proceedings against LucasArts. See you guys in court! Well, hello podcast fans. Hello there. And welcome to another episode of How Uncivilized, the podcast from outer space.
A very special episode of the podcast from out of space.
Exactly. Today we're going to be looking at a special treatment of Episode VIII by Lawrence Kasdan and JJ Abrams, supposedly.
Yes, this was apparently written in 2014, or at least last updated in 2014. That's the version we have. And we'd like to leave a little disclaimer of that we don't know whether this is real. In fact, I personally think this probably isn't real, moreover than it being real. But it's still fun to imagine. And essentially what this is it's just what their idea for episode 8 would have been had they been able to have produced it. So exactly. I found this on Twitter a while back, and one of the reasons why I kind of don't think it's real was that it kind of wasn't really a big deal. Like, I didn't exactly find it in, like, it wasn't trending or anything. It was literally just someone who I was following posted it on, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then suddenly I realized we'd struck gold, if this is actually gold. So if this podcast gets removed eventually, it's because it is real, and somehow we have acquired something which I think would probably be impossible to get. So yeah. We'll see, won't we?
We certainly will. So do yourself a favor and download it now, so you have it safely stored away in case it gets pulled down. No, yeah, one of the things I thought which sort of screamed that it wasn't real to me was there's a hell of a lot of spelling mistakes. And for someone who is considered to be a very well-known and proficient writer, it kind of seems a little bit, too many spelling mistakes. Like, they don't know how to paragraph things properly.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably isn't, but then if it is, whatever. We'll we'll let that slide, JJ, you'll let those
We'll see you in court.
Yeah, see you in court.
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to say is that if it is real, do remember that this is a treatment from 2014, so a whole 3 years before episode 8 would have been released. So we're going to give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. And remember, this is kind of an early stage. Like, this is probably something they wrote quite quickly in a short period of time. So even though there's some bits which might, seem, well, that's a terrible idea. It was early days, they were probably still throwing things at the wall.
Exactly. So this was 6 years ago. And since then, obviously, Last Jedi has been released. So I feel like even if it was real, I feel like we wouldn't be getting too much backlash from it. I feel it's been released now. I don't think they're going to have a big enough go. But the plan for today's episode is that we're going to read through each page for you. It's a 12-page document with the basic story. It's split into, I believe, is it 3 acts?
3 acts.
Yeah. So it's split into 3 acts. We're going to, as I say, we're going to read it page by page, with each me and Charlie taking turns reading each separate bit. We're going to do a paragraph each. But so we may as well kick it off. So I'll start by reading the first few lines, I guess, of the title page. So Star Wars Episode 8, treatment by Lawrence Kasdan and JJ Abrams.
Based on characters created by George Lucas. Sorry, I didn't realize we were going to split up that bit as well.
Current revisions by JJ Abrams, and it's dated the 4th of the 5th, 2014.
And that's for our UK viewers or listeners, that's April, I'm guessing, because this is an American
5th
document.
of the 4th, 2014, yeah. So the 5th of April, 2014. And then it has a little disclaimer on the end, which I would assume is back when, if this was real, back when they wanted to keep things quite under wraps, very secret. So it says, no portion of this script may be performed, reproduced, or used by any means, or quoted or published in any medium without prior written consent.
And without further ado, we're going to barrel ahead anyway.
Let's perform, reproduce, and publish this shit.
Yeah. We're going to quote
heavily
this.
Quote it.
Yeah. We're going to quote it word for word, the entire document. If that's not plagiarism, I don't know what is. So here we
funny
go.
You say that. It's funny
Welcome.
I have a written consent form from JJ Abrams. You know.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, you're actually showing it to
look
me
at that,
now.
Like it's all signed off. Yeah, you know.
Oh, it's such a shame you guys can't see this because he definitely has that.
I know, I definitely do. And if anybody says otherwise, you're lying and you're disgusting.
Yeah. And remember, we are in the process of moving houses as well. So if that document is to go awry, that wouldn't be unusual because we're moving between places, you know?
Exactly. I have a lot of boxes. There's a lot of stuff in there, you know. Things just fall out regularly. I mean, I might be driving down the motorway in my car with all the windows down. I mean, things will just fly out then. Nuts.
God, we're so screwed if this is real.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I look forward to being sued. Sue me for all my money. That's 88 pence.
Yes, I was going to say, they won't be able to sue us for much because neither of us have any money at all.
Yeah, exactly. This bodes well. But we'll start with the first page. So, Charlie, do you want to just kick it off? Start us up. We're going to read through each page and then sort of analyze as we go.
Yep.
So, Charles.
Okay, so Star Wars Episode 8, Rough Treatment from the 4th of the 5th, 2014. Act 1. Rey walks up the Jedi steps. Seeing Luke standing at the cliff, she approaches him. Hovering boulders gently descend to the ground as she hands him his father's lightsaber. Luke takes it and eyes it longingly, like seeing a dead relative again. Then they regard each other.
Luke. Thank you, Rey. Well, you're finally here, where you belong. Rey sputters. You're Luke. Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. Luke quips. I used to be. Rey is taken aback. That's the same thing Han said when I met him. She starts to tear up.
Luke. Han? I know. He moves closer to her. His eyes begin to well up. There's nothing I could have done. From this island, I can only influence so much. Han was beyond my reach. Rey looks up at him, curious. Rey's eyes ask 1,000 questions. Influence? Luke smiles. Why did you think I came to this island? Rey's eyes widen, inquisitive. Just then, a woman's voice is heard calling far off in the distance. Luke! Luke!
Luke gives Rey a wink. A beautiful, middle-aged woman walks towards them. 2 children trail behind her, a 7-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy. Rey turns around awestruck. She quickly swivels back towards Luke. Luke smiles. Now you know why I stayed here. I've been a little busy. Rey smiles. Luke hands the lightsaber back to her. Here, Yago. I made a new one a long time ago. You're probably going to need it. She takes it back.
Luke's wife, Audra, approaches. She gives Rey a smile. Rey is speechless. Audra and Rey regard each other. Luke. Audra, this is the girl I was telling you about. The one I brought to the planet. Her name is Rey. Audra replies, Hello, Rey. It's so very nice to meet you. This is our boy, Tyus, and his sister, Kea. Rey smiles at the 2 cute kids. Audra, are you staying for dinner? Rey looks at Luke, dumbfounded. He nods. Yes. Well,
there we go.
So that was page 1.
Page 1 in all its abundance.
Yeah.
So obviously taking a different direction to episode 8 as we know it now.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think this is quite nice. I think it's quite well done. I do. I think I appreciate that more than.
I'm not so sure. As someone who I like The Last Jedi more than you do. I think that's fair to say. I find this kind of almost strange and jarring. Like finding Luke on this island all by himself and suddenly not by himself with like a wife and children. I find that more jarring personally than like his actual reaction in The Last Jedi. Like I mean, this will kind of be explored further throughout the thing, but for me, this, like the explanation in The Last Jedi of why he was on the island to me feels more appropriate than this does, because it's just kind of a bit weird of that, like he's just gone and had this family and he's still kind of abandoned everything, but just for not as, I almost think there's no decent reason to why he would do it. So therefore, I think the answer of he's just moody and, you know, lost faith in everything is probably the best answer you could have given. But, you know, that's just my controversial opinion off the bat.
No, I understand that. I mean, my opinion is quite simple of it. I think it's a nicer way of treating it. I think it harkens back to sort of Anakin in the prequels, you know, not having a family and that conflict between him of not being able to have, you know, that outward life of maybe a wife and some children, you know, having to keep it quiet, and that in the end destroying him. I think, you know, he's starting a new path whereby this to me feels like a better reason than The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Him just being moody and giving up is not actually in his character. Him searching for something more and wanting to evolve the Jedi Order in a different way is to me, it's a better choice that he made, and I think a better way of handling it personally.
Excellent. So we're already on opposite sides of the fence already.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things I wanted to point out in the actual script itself. So one of the first things is that it says as she approaches him, boulders fall around him. But where did the boulders come from? Like at the end of episode 7, there were no boulders, and suddenly they're just all there floating around him. Like, what? That's a bit weird.
Well, to be fair, this was written before they finished, I assume, before they finished filming even episode 7. So maybe the idea.
That's a good point as well. Yeah.
Maybe we weren't even meant to see Luke in episode 7 in this idea. You know, you know, just she arrives at the planet and then, you know, that's the end. I mean, it wouldn't be as good an end as episode 7 actually was, with the whole like lightsaber reached out and Luke staring sort of moodily back at Rey.
Yeah,
that was quite a good ending. But
what a great cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to point out, which I really like, so, you know, a good thing about this is Luke gives the lightsaber back to Rey because he's still got his green lightsaber. Oh. And that's so nice to see.
Exactly.
Because just wanted that green lightsaber.
We only got it in my life. A little flash, didn't we? It was only a momentary glimpse in a flashback in episode 8.
Yeah.
But for him to actually have it would be really cool.
That would be very cool. Like we've discussed before in this podcast of like, it would have been maybe interesting to have seen Rey using Luke's green lightsaber, especially after episode 8 when his blue one was destroyed. She could have returned to Acto, met his Force ghost, and he would have been like, "Hi, here's my lightsaber. Hi, I'm the ghost of Luke Skywalker. We met when I was being a grumpy pants." But, you know,
exactly.
I'm feeling better now, so here's my lightsaber. Here you go. Enjoy yourself.
Have a good one. Nah, the thing for me is I just honestly wished that in the new trilogy there was more color in the lightsabers. Like they really stuck to blue and red, like not even green. So yeah, having that in there would have been great. Like any more color except from that glimpse of yellow at the end.
Oh yeah. Well, I believe it's golden actually, Spencer. It's a golden colored lightsaber. Texture like sun.
I'm assuming that actually reading the script again, I'm assuming that this is a bit before when we actually see him in the films, because it's saying a beautiful middle-aged woman walks towards him with two children. So I'm assuming that they're a little bit younger than Luke's portrayed in the films, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure.
Well,
but yeah, no, it's a nice idea.
Yeah, because that's one thing I think about in terms of the age of his kids, it would be that he had those children like after going into hiding, really. So I almost find it weird that he didn't go into hiding because he had a family necessarily. It seemed he went into hiding and then he had a family, because that's how the timeline seems to work, I think. I'm not sure, like, again, like, as this is very early days, I don't know when or what age they were planning Kylo Ren to have turned by. But to me, I think this is, his kids would have been, no, maybe they would have been just being born around the time Kylo Ren turned to the dark side. Possibly. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows, like, what happened? I mean, obviously all of this is in a sort of... It's sort of within its own sort of world, so we can't assume what was before or what is after type thing. Yeah. But it is really cool to see a different approach to episode 8, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, Are you ready for page 2? Do you want to kick us off?
Off his look, Rey responds, "Yes, thank you." As they walk back to Luke's hut, Rey sputters, "Luke, your sister General Leia sent me here to find you. You're needed back to lead the resistance at once. I'm here with R2-D2 and Chewbacca in the..." He cuts her off. "Millennium Falcon?" "Yes, I saw. You landed on the far side of the island." Rey, "Yes, we haven't much time." Luke, "Oh, yes, we do, actually. We have 90 sunsets. 90 sunsets here to prepare for imminent attack. I have communed with Leia. She knows the resistance is safe for now." Sorry, that bit just gets me.
Yeah.
She looks at him, unsure. He ignites his lightsaber and slowly slinks towards her. "Rey, on Jakku, your escape. Did you ever ask yourself how an untrained pilot like you could suddenly fly the Falcon and outmaneuver those TIE fighters? Then somehow rendezvous with Han and Chewie shortly after?" Rey looks at him, puzzled. She ignites her saber. He charges her. They joust as they talk. Aggressive negotiations.
"Luke, you know how to pilot the Millennium Falcon, because I know how to pilot the Millennium Falcon. You beat Kylo on Starkiller because I was with you, aiding your untrained mind. It's an old trick Jedi Masters use to help their Padawans. You're inexperienced. You're lucky to be alive. But soon you'll be ready. Soon you won't need my assistance. Don't worry. When the time is right, you'll be able to beat Kylo on your own." She quickly retorts, "But I felt the Force flowing through me, like a great gust of emotion and power pushing me beyond." Luke, "Yes, but I was the conduit. We cheated. You may not be as lucky next time." He swivels his green lightsaber. "Now attack me. I want everything you've got," he says with a smile. Rey, playing along, charges him. Luke swivels and easily bests her. She trips and falls into the grass. While laying on the ground, she says, "Snoke, the First Order's supreme leader, he..."
Luke sheathes his saber and offers her a hand. "Yes, I know of Snoke. We have history. He's safe on his planet, Sacrum, just like I am on mine. His planet bleeds dark-forced energy, just like mine gushes the light. 2 planets from a bygone era, still in opposition. Both of them are cloaked from detection, only accessible with permission. I had a plan, a very long con, but I lost. The only way to penetrate Snoke's defenses was to train Kylo in both the light and the dark. But he was compromised. He was my spy, but ultimately too weak and despotic to resist the dark side. I have a feeling you won't be." Rey stares at him, bemused. Luke ignites his lightsaber. "Shall we?" He smirks, then charges her again.
Excellent. So a lot of intrigue on that page. A lot of big questions being raised.
There. Yeah.
So one of the big things which is introduced on that page is that there's going to be an attack, and Luke already knows it's going to happen, that's slightly strange. It's the first kind of suggestion we get in this of being able to see the future, and not to throw out spoilers too soon, but seeing the future visions and time travel are going to become all too relevant to this version of the story, which is very interesting. To put it mildly.
Yeah, the omnipresence that Luke seems to have is quite. It's nuts, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that he's gone obviously out of his way. He's found knowledge.
Yeah.
He has this idea of what's going to come. It's quite kind of. I don't know. It pulls it together nicely in its own special way. I just find it only a little bit contrived.
Yeah. One thing I do find strange is the idea that Luke uses Rey as a conduit. And firstly, I want to say that's such a weird training method for training Jedi of give them all your power, and then I don't really get why that would help someone learn if you just gave them all your power and then suddenly took it away. Is it a kind of showing someone how to do it, showing someone how it feels kind of thing? I feel like that's quite a weird teaching method.
That's not going to train. Yeah, that's not going to train someone. It's almost like there's no real way of comparing it. All I can compare it to is I'm watching, I don't know, Gordon Ramsay chop onions or something. But I can't chop onions like Gordon Ramsay.
No.
That's it's mind-boggling. I don't quite understand how it works. And then if that's the case, then isn't that technically, can that be considered a dark side power? You're almost manipulating someone in that way?
Yeah, it seems almost like, even though he's using it for good, it seems like a very almost, dark side power, as you say. And I also find it quite annoying that they're almost backpedaling on how powerful Rey is.
Yeah. It's everything's through Luke. Luke is the most powerful. Rey's just boring.
It kind of undermines her as a character a bit, where some people say, yes, in episode 7, she was overly powerful, but that almost undermining that with, her suddenly being so I didn't actually do any of that. That was all Luke. Suddenly it kind of resets our expectations of what she's capable of. So
yeah, exactly. After all that, and I think it definitely takes away from her as a character. Not that there is much to take away. And then, one thing right, it says we have 90 sunsets.
Yes,
but what is that in terms of time? Because we know for a fact there can be plenty of suns.
Yeah.
So how many 90 sunsets? There could be 3 suns.
So
the
way the calendar works in Star Wars is that it's based off the calendar of Coruscant, which was the capital of the Galactic Republic, and that had the same year and day cycle as Earth. So that's how they kind of got their calendar to be the same as that of Earth. So I'm wondering, like you say, does he mean 90 sunsets on the calendar, or does he mean 90 sunsets on Acto?
Because that could mean if you're hearing the prophecy on different planets.
Yeah.
I don't know, you could the time could just completely throw you, mate. You know what I mean? Say if you heard 90 sunsets on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And you were there.
That's 2 a night.
Yeah. And I say you were counting 2 a night. And then at 45, you'd be like, oh, well, I guess no one's coming. Just going to chill.
Yeah. And
then 45 later, you just shot, mate. You'll be blown up. There's no preparation for the big attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I didn't really... Yeah. I kind of find it a little weird that they've only just met and then he's deciding to... he says the resistance is safe for now. At that point, then draws his lightsaber and walks towards her. Yeah, that's really scary. What's he? It's just everything's okay for now. What is he doing?
I find it strange the fact that there was the complaint in The Last Jedi was that Luke didn't actually train Rey, but in this one they start training almost immediately, which is kind of bonkers. It's like, oh hey, hope you enjoyed your flight. So you want to work on your footwork.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand that.
Like, yeah. And so they just start training immediately, which is kind of strange. One thing I find kind of intriguing is that Luke confesses that he trained Kylo in like light and dark side. So that kind of, to me, suggests possibly more route towards a Grey Jedi kind of ending, possibly.
Yeah,
saying
definitely.
That
I mean, when I was sort of reading this the first time, I was thinking, oh, is there going to be like a... Could there possibly be a twist here, you know?
Yeah.
Could he go one way or the other?
Yeah.
Could he come out and just be like, it was me all along, I'm Snoke and Palpatine. Oh, yeah.
Darth
Look
Luke.
at my 18 lightsabers that I can control using the Force as I beat you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was intriguing.
Yeah.
The idea of Luke training his Padawans in light and dark side use. In fact, one thing we'll see later in this is that Luke isn't, even though he's all like happy and cheery on the surface, he uses a lot of like questionable, almost dark side force powers in this version as well, which kind of suggests that perhaps he is more of a Grey Jedi than a Jedi. But again, it's not really addressed, so, and also it never will be, so kind of...
No, well, who matters?
Yeah.
I love the way he just doesn't give a crap about R2-D2 or Chewie.
Oh, yeah. He's just like...
It's like, I'm here with R2-D2 and Chewie, and he cuts her off. Millennium Falcon? Yes, I saw. I don't care about them. Remember, Wookiees don't have rights in the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great. You brought me my dog. Fantastic.
Took me years to get rid of that guy, and he just comes crawling back.
You know he isn't house straight, right?
And on that note, shall we move on to page 3? Page the third?
Yeah, let's dip into the third page. You want to knock us
Absolutely
into the first one?
General Hux stands on the observation deck of a gigantic star destroyer, the Siege. Peering out into space, Supreme Leader Snoke's holographic face appears behind him. He informs him Kylo Ren's convalescence on Mustafar is nearly over. Their number one priority is still to find Luke Skywalker's hidden planet by any means necessary. Hux explained his compudroids are working on it, deducing its secret location. Ooh.
Inside Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar, a semi-conscious Kylo Ren floats in Vader's old Bacta tank. While submerged, tiny medidroids swim around his face like tadpoles. Mostly all of the necrotic flesh on the right side of his face has been replaced by a biometallic skin. One medidroid swims a new eyeball up to Kylo's face. As the droid pushes and sutures it into his hollow eye socket, Kylo screams in pain. Red air bubbles.
He's a Wookiee now.
Yeah, he may as well be. He's got quite the mane.
Yeah.
Red air bubbles shoot from his rebreather mask. Snoke's hologram appears before Kylo. He scolds him. Kylo's slightly detached eye cries blood. Oh, what a crybaby. The tank tilts and bloody Bacta begins to drain out. That bloody Bacta.
Language.
His limp body is expelled onto the floor.
Back on Acto, Rey, Chewie, and R2-D2 eat dinner with Luke's family. Oh, now he's remembered Chewie and R2-D2.
R2-D2's eating dinner? This I have to see. Where does he put it? What is he eating?
Best version. Hands down. Audra tells Rey how she and Luke met. Rey enjoys the first family time she's ever had. She laughs with his kids, and one of them sits on her lap. She tells Luke she understands why he'd want to leave the war behind and enjoy the simple life. She's worried what could happen if Kylo finds the planet. Luke, toying with his flute, okay, says, "There's nothing I can do to keep Kylo from finding the island. It was foreseen long ago."
That's hilarious. That's like, Kung Fu Panda when Shifu's playing the flute.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Rey, We must stop him. He'll try to destroy... Luke cuts her off. Rey, there's something you don't understand. Once he finds this planet, he can never leave. This planet is a trap, and this island, the bait. When he comes, we'll be ready for him. Rey, then I'll kill him. I'll do what has to be done.
Luke, we can't kill him. It will be pointless. Once he dies, the Force will just create another dark side user, maybe even stronger. We have to trap him here on the island and keep him here. Rey is perplexed. How? Luke, I've got another plan. But in the meantime, we train. Rey nods. Rey, so what is this place? What's the planet called? Luke, it doesn't really have a name, and there's a reason for that. It's a planet very rich with Force energy. After Order 66, this is where the surviving Jedi came for safe haven. Many Jedi lived and died here, undetected and in peace, away from the tyranny of the Empire. It's where the Force began, and probably where it's all going to end.
Well, that's rather morbid. First thing I want to point out is that they say, "Oh, this planet doesn't have a name," but doesn't it say earlier on in like this very transcript that it's called Acto?
It literally says at the top of the paragraph we're just reading, it says back on Acto.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we just don't know the planet.
Yeah. There's no name for Acto.
That's quite funny.
Yeah. So bunch of cool things on this page. Kylo Ren on Mustafar. That's pretty cool. Like, I find the idea of like him having a mechanical eye and stuff, that's quite cool. Like you say, first time I read this, I was like, oh wait, but she didn't cut out his eye in episode 7. But then again, like you say, this was before episode 7, so maybe they were planning on him having his whole like the whole side of his face like cut off, you know?
Exactly. Maybe they were going for something a little bit more intense, but then who'd want to ruin Adam Driver's perfect face?
Oh yeah, they did that in The Last Jedi. Of like, they turned a huge scar across his entire face into just like a sexy one inch. That just went just across his cheek.
Well, you've got to have the sex appeal in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know? That's what it's all about, sex appeal.
Yeah, that's what we want to see, you know? I just want Adam Driver to, you know...
I want Admiral Akbar in a mankini. Come on!
Oh, God.
Get him up. Give me some crab. But I mean that page is a little bit weird.
Yeah. So it's also confirmed on this page that Luke left the war to go have a simple life, which fair enough. I kind of respect that decision. I mean, like Leia and Han didn't, but you know, sure, Luke, you can. I know, like that was before the First Order rose and stuff, but still, like plenty of people have kids, you know, and keep fighting. But
exactly, you know, and when the dark forces come a calling, you got to answer that call. You know, he's got to join up with the Resistance fleet, and go at them. But you know, he's just like, well, actually, I'm in the middle of baking with my children, so I don't really have time.
We're making banana bread.
I convalesced with Leia and told her to fuck off.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
And a concept I found interesting on this page is it's kind of the unstated rules of the Force kind of are confirmed on this page, of that, like, if they killed Kylo Ren, another dark side user would just like emerge in his place. And that kind of confirms our ideas about how, with balance in the Force, if you destroy the dark side, something will fill its place. There always has to be something on the dark side, something on the light side. And that's a really interesting concept, which I liked from this page.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I mean, it then does beg the question, like, if that's the case, then everyone should be trained as Grey Jedi or something along the lines, you know. It sort of, you know, harkens back to the whole thing of everyone has good and evil in them. Mm-hmm. So, you know, keep everything the way it should be. Don't force people into certain holes. And, the universe should naturally balance itself, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, the idea that that's where the Force began is a little bit weird.
Yeah, the Force is everything. So how can it have began in a place?
Exactly.
I understand.
The Force is like air, isn't it?
Yeah. I understand, this is where the Jedi began, because, the Jedi are people and, they would start on a physical place. But the Force itself surely has always been there. But
that's quite a big thing to sort of slap here.
Unless they're suggesting that, Acto, or the unknown planet, as it's now called, because it doesn't have a name. Unless they're suggesting, that's the center of the universe or the center of the galaxy, which that could be an interesting concept, but...
Could be, but
the birthplace of the galaxy.
I think you could quite easily, my theory of it is you could destroy that planet and the Force would still work.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a battery pack for Force users.
Yeah.
You get rid of that, suddenly it's not powered anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it just takes away the mystery of the Force and the idea that it is everywhere and everyone can use it.
Yeah.
But cool concept. I suppose.
One final thing I'll point out from this page is that throughout this entire thing, there's a few weird references to stuff. And on this page, the fact that, I laughed at it anyway whilst I was reading it, but when it says Luke has a flute, it's doesn't Picard from Star Trek have a flute? Isn't that just a clear Star Trek reference?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Multiple people can have flutes, but also I feel like when you've got Star Trek and when you've got Star Wars, you kind of want to keep them apart.
Yeah, careful. Let's not blur the lines here.
Yeah. What do I know? What do I know?
Well, if he starts drinking Earl Grey tea, then we'll know that the lines have been fully blurred.
Yes, definitely.
Back to Hux on the Siege. Their sensors pick up a gigantic piece of space junk. Space junk. It's just junk.
Isn't that just a rock?
Yeah, it's a space rock. It's an old, bombed-out piece of Corellian freighter.
Oh, that explains
tells
it.
Them, well, of course, yeah. Hux tells them to ignore it. But as it floats closer, the techs pick up multiple heat signatures. So when he says the techs, I assume he means the techie people.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Yeah. Suddenly, Poe, Finn, and a squadron of X-Wings shoot out from its charred and bombed-out hull. Hux dispatches TIE fighters to combat this sneaky attack. Big dogfight. During the assault... Sorry, I can't quite reimagine that. Pew, 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 pew. I get him out. Red 4. There you go. There's the dogfight.
There we are. That's the whole thing.
During the assault, Poe launches a disguised BB-8 into one of the Siege exhaust ports. BB-8 enters the ship and starts snooping around.
Now that they've planted BB-8 on board, General Leia commands Poe's fleet to retreat. Just as Hux calls for reinforcements, the X-Wings blast into hyperspace and out of range. BB-8 rolls through the ship, locating a huge room where the compudroids are reverse engineering hyperspace signatures in that sector. They're looking for Acto. BB-8...
How could they be looking for Acto? There's no name.
Yeah,
no
they're looking for the unknown planet. BB-8 sends Leia a coded message informing them of this. Poe tells them they've got to warn Luke and Rey on the island, but Leia orders BB-8 to upload fake coordinates to the Siege's Navi computer, which will buy them more time. He does this, and the First Order blasts off into an unknown sector. Leia tells Poe not to worry. She knows exactly where she's sending them.
Dun, dun, dun. Meanwhile... Snoke is convalescing.
Meanwhile, on the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, on Snoke's home planet of Sacrum. He incubates in what seems to be a gelatinous womb.
Oh, God.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Nestled inside a computerized half dome, he stirs and crawls out of the womb's fleshy orifice like a baby being birthed.
That's horrifying.
Oh, goodness. Quickly, his attendants dress his feeble body and inject him with life-preserving medicines. Snoke's second apprentice, the female, Dathan Naught
Yeah,
of
probably.
Melody Origin,
Yep, probably.
approaches him. She looks like Morticia Adams with heavy, how do you say that? Rosacea? Rosacea?
I don't know. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sticks his guard on her, and she fights them feverishly with her vibrous eyes. After this brief skirmish, he applauds. She bows to Snoke, who smiles. He tells her, "You're ready to advance to the next level of training." She is to travel to Mustafar and keep a watchful eye on Kylo Ren. She jumps into her sleek, maple leaf-looking spacecraft, the Prowl, and blasts off.
Back on Acto, Rey and Luke walk up the grassy hill towards a rocky mountain peak. Luke, let me show you something. They reach the summit and spy a golden temple, the first Jedi temple, the Bell. Rey enters, mouth agape. Huh? On the walls of the Bell are ancient Jedi hieroglyphs and pictograms depicting age-old Sith Jedi battles. Luke walks towards a large hourglass. He flips it over. Wow.
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, one thing I want to say first is, like, where do the Jedi get all this money to build these ridiculous structures?
Yeah.
I mean, who's funding the Jedi? And where are they getting their money? All these poor people in the Star Wars universe are getting ripped off from these greedy Jedi who are just wanting to build golden structures on unknown planets for no reason other than to, like, self-indulge.
I much prefer the idea in The Last Jedi of the Jedi Temple being somewhere which is kind of at one with nature. Like in The Last Jedi, it was kind of like in a mountain type thing, in a mountainside. Then there was like the tree library.
Yeah.
All these things which have a connection with nature, because ultimately the Force is part of nature, and having a huge golden temple just really sticks out, especially on a very small island as well.
Oh, I know. Where do they fit this in?
Gosh.
It's I liked the way they dealt with the first Jedi Temple in Episode 8. It was very modest, as the Jedi should be. You know, I see the Jedi as I see them more as sort of people that are sort of selfless and, you know, don't need any belongings and don't want anything rich with sort of money or material goods. I like that little the way the first one was. But this is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, the big golden temple.
I'm imagining like a huge, almost like just a massive, luxurious temple where everything's golden. It almost looks like a cathedral or something where it's like just excess beyond excess. Like, I'm just imagining the most ridiculous structure ever built.
No, so am I. I'm imagining just ridiculous amounts of opulence. It's insanity. Insanity. Yeah. But anyway, that's not the most important bit here. There are more tasty things to go into on this page. Oh, dear. One
little thing I like is it's BB-8 going on his own little mission infiltrating a ship. I enjoy that. Like, BB-8's fun, and seeing BB-8 on a little like spy mission disguised as a bad BB-8 droid, that's fun. I enjoy that. That's something I want to see. One thing I will say, this is kind of the first appearance, really, of Finn and Poe in this one. And Finn and Poe, and even Leia somewhat in this one, I find they definitely get more of a bum deal than they did in the actual script of The Last Jedi. Again, it's an early copy, you know. Maybe they were just outlining Rey's side of the story or something. But definitely, they don't really do much in this version. Like, say what you will about what they did in The Last Jedi, at least they did something. Because right now, in this one, they don't really seem to be doing much.
Yeah, Leia just seems to be very much a background noise kind of thing. Nothing really is happening. Finn's turned up and apparently knows how to fly now. So
yeah, that's something I find weird. Of like, he's not a pilot. Like, surely you'd have him. I mean, keep him as a gunner. He worked well as a gunner. That's where his talents lie.
Exactly. Yeah, makes no sense. But yeah, I definitely think there needs to be more droid solo missions. Definitely, you know. I feel like a lot of these droid missions, a lot of them happen off screen. You know, the one with C-3PO and his red arm.
Yeah.
That's a really good mission.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. And if you haven't listened to that already, that is in episode 1 or 2.
Episode 1, I want to say.
I want to say 1 as well. But yeah, if you want to hear that story and you're just tuning in, go listen to episode 1 and listen to the story about how C-3PO gets a red arm. It is amazing.
It's bonkers and horrifying and just brilliant on every level. It's just bizarre.
It's nice. It's good stuff.
So anyway, Snoke lives in a womb. That's one of the weirder aspects of this.
Yeah,
this version.
I mean I'm glad we didn't get to see this. The whole birthing of Snoke.
Oh gosh!
My word! Aren't these meant to be kids' films as well? Slightly,
I know.
You know, it's
that's horrifying.
Just imagining that. It's just awful.
Yep. So that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I do like the fact that he has a second apprentice called Dathan Naught.
That's a very cool. Like, one thing which annoyed me about this trilogy was how it limited the actual Force users to, literally it was Kylo and Rey. And even this version has more Force users in it, which is something I want to see. Like, the Force is not something which only 2 people have. It's something which is throughout the galaxy. Therefore, we should be able to see more Force users from it. Definitely. Throughout the series.
Definitely, and the galaxy's so big. I mean, are you telling me that there are literally only 2 people that have even experimented in the Force? I mean, that's ridiculous. There's got to be more sort of life out there that's using the Force.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it would be good to see it, please, any film ever.
Yes.
Well, maybe we'll get it in The Mandalorian. I hear they're introducing like a whole new galaxy in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, they're doing everything in The Mandalorian Series 2,
I hear Boba Fett's going to turn up with Mace Windu's lightsaber.
Oh,
that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
They do not hold back.
No.
But yeah, I do like the idea of a second apprentice, definitely. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like someone as sensible as Snoke would have a backup plan.
I think it's ridiculous that we have to wait so long for a female Sith Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Or a female, Sith. I mean, come on. That would be amazing. Like, I don't know if you know much about, the history of a lot of the planets in Star Wars, but there's a planet called Dathomir. Do you know of Dathomir?
I do not. Give us a go. Tell us what it is.
Well, Dathomir is, located within... It's just on the Outer Rim, I think. And it is a planet, really strong in the Force. It's where Dathomir is the home planet of Darth Maul.
Oh. I think I know a bit more about it now,
Yeah. So they're all the Night Brothers there. That's Darth Maul's species.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the female of the species, which are called the Night Sisters. And they are powerful Force users.
Yeah.
And they use something, they basically tap into the planet's core and use a certain type of Force called magic. They could, well, yeah, I know, it's hilarious, isn't it? But it's spelled with a K.
I mean,
so it's fine.
They've got it on the nose, so, it is essentially magic, so you're not wrong.
Oh, exactly. But it is so cool seeing
space magic.
Dark side Force users that are female, right? And a female-dominated culture of these space witches.
Yeah.
And it is really cool. And I feel like we miss out on that definitely in the main films. And hopefully, if there are going to be more films, I would like to see more female dark side users. I think it would just be an amazing step forward.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Maybe we could see some more stuff from Dathomir.
Absolutely.
Some Night Sister powers. Who knows?
Yeah. And with that, I think we shall draw this first episode of going through this treatment to a close.
Yeah, well, thank you for sticking with us this long. And look out for the next episode as we delve deep into a bit more tasty stuff.
Yes, if you haven't watched our playthrough as well, give that a go. If you're really bored, watch some Lego Star Wars nonsense. It's all good fun.
It's really it's good fun, it's all in the same vein. So yeah, give it a listen.
Cool. Well,
and a watch.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Next time. Goodbye there.
Goodbye there. Thanks for listening to episode 13 of the How Uncivilized Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, keep an eye out for part 2 coming soon. While you're waiting, why not check out our new series, the How Uncivilized Playthrough. Episode 1 is available on YouTube now. Give it a watch and let us know what you think.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Reddit. How Uncivilized was created, produced, and edited by Charlie, is this legal, Feasby? And Spencer, who cares, Lawrence.